Joyfully, yes, we live and love living in our body, in our 3D body here on earth, on this beautiful earth, as light beings. And here today, two wonderful light beings are coming together to bring their knowledge to you, dear listener and observer, to support you in remembering how even to fully bring more of it into your life and rejuvenate this way. So this is Meilin, and I welcome you to the Sacred Expression Show. And today I have a very special guest. I have a lot of fun with her, and the universe is mixing things together because it has been a little difficult starting all of this today. But mostly then something really magical gets ignited. So Dorothy Kuhn, welcome to the show.
It is a pleasure to be here, Meilin. I've had so much fun working through these little technical glitches. We have these things that happen in life. The question isn't, do things come up? The question is, with good humor and good nature, do you just get through it and find a way to where you want to be?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's how I love to live. Very joyful, and to take every moment as it comes, and then to make the best out of it, and
yes,
to support each other in those moments. And then also it shows us that we are realigning ourselves the whole time as well, right? We are adapting, or in a way synchronizing. So we are both synchronizing to each other at the same time to the nature. You have your beautiful plant behind, or I look outside at the moment, where we rejuvenate, right? Out in nature. And that really, Dorothy, I love. When I was reading more precisely through your bio, I saw you loved to play outdoors as a child, in the woods with the neighborhood kids. And it's very similar to me. I did the same. I think I was always outside.
Yes.
And let me know a little bit more about what memory you have about that time, and what you remember, what nature gave you already there as a little child, a little girl.
Oh, it was just a wonderful, magical kind of time in my life. The neighbor kids and I would just run around the woods like we were just having the best fun ever, and doing silly, crazy kid things, and finding all kinds of animals and bugs and chasing them around and exploring the trees and climbing up way too high for our mothers and fathers to like it. They never do. And just doing everything that we could. And the real gift to me of being able to spend so much of my childhood in nature was to get a sense of how connected we are to the divine, to the world all around us, and that sense of freedom that comes with knowing that you are, safe and well held in so many situations, and to let the few little times when things go oddly. I never was in a situation in the woods where things went oddly. Even when I found the snapping turtle, I knew which end of it to pick up and which end to stay away from. It was just a wonderful, wonderful childhood. And that was part of the gift that we gave our children when they were little. We lived near some woods. And I don't know how it is in Germany, but in the U.S., there's this whole culture of fear here. And I think it's driven by, so many news channels, and, it's very easy to get people to watch when you make a big drama out of, some unfortunate situation. And so, is it that way over in Germany?
No, it's different. And I learned a little bit about it because I came over back to Germany from Atlanta when my son, who's now 10, was 2.5. So I noticed how people reacted on playgrounds. and how they were more lax or relaxed when something happened. And it's, oh, children learn. And also then later I thought, here, I live a little bit in the countryside. Children, they already do so much. They're outside, they run around, they run through the neighbor. It's first grade, they walk to school. My son walked 20 minutes to school, right?
Yeah.
And they can explore nature in that time and hold. Sometimes it maybe takes an hour until he comes back or came back. He's done with the elementary school now. And then they tell the stories of what they found and what they explored. If it was a nest that they found on the ground of a bird, or a icicle somewhere hanging, glittering in the winter. And I think that is so beautiful. If nature gives children self-esteem,
Yes.
right? And self-esteem, and it gives them the moments. And I can remember that myself, and you probably had many of these experience too as a young girl, and then with your children. It is the time where we're so immersed in doing, in acting, and I always think it's an exchange of wisdom we have then with our surrounding or the plant, and that's why nothing happens, because we're carried by nature, supported by nature.
Nothing and everything. You know, you get to, as a child, to learn that you're sturdy and capable. You can figure things out. You can explore and have a wonderful time and play tricks on your friends and enjoy, all of that kind of crazy play. Build things in the woods that, fall apart, and then you get to run over them and build them up again. It's great.
Yeah, it's building up, and then that we can create, and we'll talk about that, I think, later. It is that we really can create, and you said something else just a moment ago, that you can figure things out. And I think that stayed with you all your life, and I'm going to ask you a little bit to show how you started, what brought you the route, because we, again, something very similar, right? We went both into science to understand, right, a little bit more what nature gave us. Let you speak a little bit, and then I'll add in. Go ahead. How are you?
So much I learned from nature. I grew up this mystical Catholic kid, and running around the woods, and it just gave me that sense of awe for the wonder of the world, and really made me want to learn. I thought, God made the world so cruel. How can I understand all that? How can I honor the creation and the creator and myself by understanding as deeply as possible what it is that makes the world happen and draws forth each moment into the next? It's just an amazing and wonderful thing to do. Sometimes people think that science and spirituality, however you hold that, are different. I see them as just intimately connected.
Yes, because even if I'm so into it, because for me too, I always called it the wisdom seeker now if I look backwards, but I was always looking for truth, how things functioned. I went then also through veterinarian medicine, landscape architecture. I brought the animal world into my life and the landscapes, and even there in landscape architecture it was this, the human psychology was involved, and so much more. It was unlimited. That's what I loved about it. But how it functions together, and the biology I loved as a child, and I didn't like the chemistry and things so much when we had to study veterinary medicine. But now, if I go back even now, I understand, and I've learned it is very scientifically even how we live on in this material world and in the non-material world, how everything got started and how we get to create everything. And even that is very systematic, even though we say, oh, it's spiritual, but still, they're waves, they're lines, and we can synchronize, and similar structures for all. And that is so fascinating to experience. And then the scientific mind, right? It helps us to understand, or now vice versa, I'm noticing what we've been seeing as you and me as children and expressing, and no one believed us. Now science, because there were so many like us, wisdom seekers, truth seekers, they went into the science that there has to be ways to be shown, and now more and more it's able to be shown what we have been seeing and creating in our lives.
Oh, it's so true. And one of the things that when I went to finished high school and went to university, I studied physics and math. And after I completed my undergraduate work, I got my first job because I knew more quantum mechanics than anybody else. It's really fun, geeky stuff. But here's just a piece that relates from that to what you just mentioned, which is to me just so magical. In the world, there is this field of a very low level quantum energy that is kind of the foundation, the substrate of the fabric of the universe. You look out at any point in the universe where there are no stars around, no planets, empty space, and there's this tiny, tiny bit of field that is infinitesimally small at any one spot, but you gather up all that energy over the immensity of the universe, and it's everywhere. It's outside us, it's in us, it's everywhere in the universe. You gather up, consider that energy over the entire universe. It's infinite, as is the universe. We have no idea where it ends, no idea at all. So we think it doesn't end. And you take all of that energy and consider it together, it's the most powerful thing there is. Now, that's the way, from a spiritual perspective, that we often describe the divine, as being everywhere, always present, all powerful, and all of those omnis from theology, if you studied some of that.
Yeah, no, I studied really not theology so much, because as a young child, I had grandparents that were very religious. So I really moved back from religion. Now I go back because I'm a physical channel. My body changes, the material changes as I move into my beingness, and there is a way of what fascinated me. I got then trained in a way, and I just by the Yoruba tradition, and the Yoruba tradition is very set on all the different goddesses expressing the energies, different kinds of energies. And so I thought, oh my God, look, I was so far removed from any theology that when I learned more about myself, I was moved right into it. And now I know every culture, we have different ways of expressing or showing the same thing. Yeah, but then now, even that I experienced, and I said, okay, now I understand. But what is really the source of even that? And so
yes.
That's great. I am going. That is what's fascinating.
It is fascinating, and I love what you just said, because all around the world, people have this sense of this divine mystery around here, and we express it and try to describe it in the ways that we can come to. So one of the things that I noticed when I was a little girl was that people in different religions would point fingers at one another and say, I'm right, you're wrong. And I knew that they could not all be right. Right?
Yeah.
Because they would all say that and do this kind of finger-pointing thing. So it was clear that there's something bigger at play. And when you think of we as largely finite, we're not completely finite, because our energy, our spirit has this very non-finite, extent, and you can sometimes, there will be people that you can feel them across the room, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, you can feel them at distance, and it's just a really interesting, magical feeling. But and one of the things that's so wonderful about that is that sense of being embodied. It really helps build the kind of confidence that lets you step into the world and really accept people for the best. And we all show up the best we can. If we could think of a better option in the moment, we would take it.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I was just yesterday morning with a friend. I went right through that. Best our parents, good people around us, they all do, and we ourselves do the best in the moment. And if that's our intention, right?
Yes, that is. That is. We're at least doing the best for ourselves. And, as we grow in embodied love and care for ourselves and for others, then that best in the moment grows and expands, so that we really are learning to be the best version of ourselves, day by day.
Yeah, and you did. What I know about you, for a while you didn't do that. You didn't. You went over, or you went further than you thought you could in one direction, and you neglected yourself. So you didn't do in a moment. You did maybe the best for your company, the best for others, the best for science, but you didn't do the best for yourself. Tell us how you got to giving up a little bit on yourself, because you did have that as a child, and what brought it back?
So going back to my childhood, I grew up in a garden variety dysfunctional American family, somewhere in the middle of the spectrum of human dysfunction, nothing to write home about. But we make meaning out of this as little children. And so I went from being that mystical kid to feeling like I lost that sense of connection for a while. And so that's when I really focused on school, and I wanted to do as well as I could in school so that I could, you may know some people in your audience who can resonate with this, because I wanted to do well in school and get out so that I could only come back and see my family when it suited me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And largely they were fine, but everybody does the best they can.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and then that had been such a successful strategy for me throughout school and into university and into my work life beyond, that I wasn't confident. I wasn't a self-actualized person. I was very task-oriented, and my energy was completely contained within me. I didn't share it much at all. Mm-hmm. And so my heart was closed off. Yeah. I didn't have good boundaries, and that was something. Those were things that I came to learn as an adult. And here's what motivated me. I noticed that other people had this thing called influence. They could persuade other people, and they had better social interactions with other people. And I thought, I feel like I can do that. I wonder what it would take for me to learn how to do that. And so I went on a quest to discover those things, and it made me come back to being the me that I was when I was little.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I can see it in your eyes, and everyone in the audience is going to see this too. You have a magical glow to yourself. Your eyes are so open and blue, and you just want to see everything. Yeah?
Yeah.
You have a vibrancy that just, coming out of you. and every time you smile, it is there's something about it. So we can feel what you're speaking about.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It's wonderful to have, just step by step, peeled back, from I'll come back to this metaphor because I know it so well from Christian theology. It's kind of a metaphor that, God is knocking on the door of our hearts, and it's our job just to open it. So I don't know if this metaphor works for you or not, but I thought, well, that's a really good idea. The room that door is in for Dorothy This is before I went on all that personal growth and development journey. That room is so cluttered, honey, I can't even find the door, let alone where the knob is. Where am I going to pull that thing open? And so, my journey was, I describe it as one of cleaning up my head and heart trash and clearing that out and making space to connect with people and to love them and to really step into being myself and to be confident in who I am, who other people are, and how to just love them for who they are and how they show up in the world so they can, in their turn, be the best version that they can be of themselves.
Yeah, so you're the woman of knowledge. You don't have judgment for people, and that is what makes everyone feel very calm, and they can be themselves around you. Yeah, so
Yes,
that's a
it's
gift.
true.
That is really a beautiful gift you have for all of us.
Yeah, judgment is way overrated. It's the booty prize of life.
Yeah, but what I wanted to ask you when I started with that your body, you were not always giving your best to your body because you were in a field that, because there's another thing. We have a lot of things together. There's a connection even, about Wisconsin. We have a Wisconsin connection. My dad's from Wisconsin. You grew up there.
Uh-huh.
And now though you're somewhere in Texas,
Yes,
right?
my dad's family is from Wisconsin, and I am speaking to you today from North Texas, where I live,
Yeah.
just outside Dallas.
Yeah, and it's funny, everyone. She has one of her pages when you sign up for her newsletter, which you all should, because we'll speak more about, the age-confident body that she supports you with. It's they're blue boots, and then there's nothing to do with Wisconsin. And the colors. So I just by this and your eye color, it is you this truth speaker. Yeah. So you speak the truth, and there was purple, and I was sitting here and I thought, everyone, take a look. You've been seeing that on some of my videos, but this image is called "Speak the Truth," and it's this purple blue, and so I thought that was just so funny. But I want to ask you, so what do you speak the truth about? And this is something I think it's very important, and that what drives me. How, when we're in this spiritual world, now we've spoken about this connection to everything. When we experience our 3D, yeah, through our body, there were all these particles, and we're vibrating, and they're finding that too often we're maybe too dense, and we want to expand, but all this needs energy, right? And I myself experienced it, that I've used maybe too much energy to do lots of sport. There was a time I did 26 hours of sport. Yes, okay, I maybe had a six-pack, but I didn't need it, and later I learned the energy I want to use in a different way, yeah, for my healing, or how I bring things into the world. But what is fascinating, how do we keep this body functional with ease and optimize, so we don't calcify, that we don't, in a way, age, because we're beings, it's like we can live for a long time. Many ancient people are starting to show themselves again. We're learning more shamanistic, spiritual, however you want to take it, throughout the world. We are remembering knowledge, how to keep our body optimized, and in a way to be synchronized with our spiritual body, so there is no lapse in a way. And you noticed that you suddenly had a strong lapse in your life when you were on the heights of your career in Texas.
Pardon me?
And you said, no, I can't go this way, something is not me. And then you found ways. And that's something that I'm really interested in, I bet many of you too, is what can we do, or how do we recognize if this lapse is getting too big, and we're losing energy. So even energy we're putting in, and then it becomes like a fight and strong, and we get like this, if I think of, and bland. What can we do, or what can we be observant of and acknowledge to really move up energy again, to send out what we're bringing to this world? Because
So I did. Sorry, I've had a little bit of a cough. It's allergy season here. So I did. I'll tell you about the latest one. It's not the only one. Pardon me. So, I'm considered the healthy kid in my family. And compared to the rest of the family, I have been, I watch what I eat. I thought I was doing very well. And there came a time when I was beginning to notice that my memory wasn't what it had been. I was in my mid-50s, early to mid-50s, and, after about 50, we'll have these senior moments. So a normal senior moment is, pardon me, a normal senior moment is when we might go into a room to get something, and we show up in that room and think, why did I come here? But we'll think of it in a few seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very normal. It's normal because our bodies are changing, our hormones change, and it means that we are not always as focused as we were, in our earlier years. But that's not the kind of memory changes that I was having. I was having memory changes like people would tell me about a conversation that I did not remember at all.
Hmm.
And they were talking about it as in the next steps. I was leading large teams of technology projects, and those are the kinds of things where what I needed to do was to pull together from one area and another area and another area and make sure that all the pieces were flowing together so that we could deliver that technology solution, on time, on budget, minor things like that. Who would really care? So that was really important to the business that I was in at the time. And I was good at it, but I was getting worse instead of better. And, I've always been like an A-level player. And when I wasn't showing up like that, it really bothered me. But I know I'm a smart person. I thought I'm just going to try to focus more and knock it out. And it just continued to get worse and worse, so that things that had always been easy for me, I was staying up late at night just to get normal work out. Like, what's up with that? Mm. And then I had this, I'm here in the South, in the U.S., I had this come to Jesus moment. I'd spent a wonderful weekend with my 2 grown kids, and on Sunday, I was talking with my son. And so the conversation what he'd had the day before at lunch had never happened.
Wow.
My daughter's looking at me like, what is going on with you, Mom? What's going on? And in that instant, I could not pretend I was managing that situation anymore. So, like you, I mean, we know so many high-level people in common, Dr. Venus and Liana and all kinds of folks. I know a whole variety of people, and I reached out to my best mentors in that space to see what could happen. And it turns out that, a little aside here, my own father at that time was in the end stages of his life, dying with dementia. Mm. So I knew that path, the normal view on that path is that you get it, there's nothing that medical science can do for it, and it's very expensive, financially, emotionally, energetically, in every way. It's the most expensive disease. And I thought, not for me. Not signing up for that class. So I found a way, and there isn't a medical cure for that, but there are things that I could do that stopped. I was accidentally, because I didn't mean to, triggering my body to attack my own tissues. And if you don't know what things, how to be the good detective, and what I help other people do is to learn to be a good detective of their own health, to notice those subtle ways in which your body is saying, help me. Help.
Wonderful.
Help me here.
I'm happy you're doing it.
Yes. And it made all the difference. Things were not going well at work. People were noticing, just like my daughter had. And 3 months later, I was so much better. The people that I was working with, they were just so impressed. So impressed.
Yeah, so I didn't know about dementia. Was never in my field of thought. I remember when I moved to Munich. How you let I go to the market and I find in a small little booth there was a woman selling herbs, wild herbs, as you could eat them as a salad. And she, you mix it up and you tear all the little pieces apart, and then you get the memory and the healing properties of the wild herbs. And I said, wow, okay. And for this, at that time, 7 years ago, I thought, okay. But she said, there is an American guy at Starnbergsee who teaches going out for herbs and looking for them, because he healed his father's dementia with that. And so I thought, wild herbs was always an interest to me. So I went then there and took a walk with him, and he also prepared then out of the herbs something beautiful to eat. And he said, he took his father out of the elderly home, brought him to Germany, and started giving him these herbs. So just to rejuvenate, to refill his body, and now he uses the whole idea also for cancer. So and before that, I never even thought about dementia, and since then I really started thinking, so what is really important for our body that we don't, because suddenly I didn't want to end up with something like this in my life. And I started remembering that my grandma couldn't recognize me, so she had Alzheimer's. And I thought, no. And so since that day, I went on my own little adventure. But I want to hear more of yours. But I thought I'd just bring that, because another American, I thought it funny. I go all the way to Germany. That I made American to push me, to push me a little forward, to become more curious in life and how nature can help me.
Oh, it's so true. We have, from a medical, here's what I love about conventional medicine. It really started in a time back thousands of years ago when the problem to solve was saving people from, a broken leg, a spear wound,
right.
those kinds of things that can take your life. And so where medical science is so brilliant is in those acute conditions. And one of the, since here in the U.S. anyway, we have this very strong relationship with our medical doctors. We kind of think that they can cure everything. But if we're not taking care of ourselves in a way that supports the longevity that we can now achieve, then we can be inadvertently overtaxing our bodies. I call them our take out the trash system.
Right, overtaxing.
You consume things.
Good expression.
You take things in, you eat, you drink, you do all kinds of things. Things that you put in, on, and keep around your body, what you do with your body. Those things really count. What I found, and this is about 15 years before it looked very much like dementia was headed my way. And by the way, I was fortunate to have avoided a diagnosis of any kind of dementia, because that is a label that never goes away, and it cannot help you. Our friends in the U.S. in the insurance and healthcare industry know exactly what that means here. Once once you're diagnosed, you cannot buy insurance for long-term coverage because it's so extraordinarily expensive, and insurance companies, they don't want that.
Okay.
But anyway, it turns out that there are things that can overburden your take-out-the-trash systems. We have 7 major take-out-the-trash systems: our lungs, our colon, our kidneys, our cerebral spinal fluid, our skin. Lets a lot of trash. It helps us get rid of a lot of trash from our system, and our lymphatic system. So now the lymphatic system gathers up all the trash that is at the cellular level all throughout your body from the neck down. And for a long time, it was not at all clear what it is that does that up in the brain. Because you know that brain cells, there's no organ in the body that consumes more energy per pound than your brain.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, especially the neocortex. And of course, that's where there's a lot of damage from dementia in memory and other things. Anyway, those take out the trash systems can be overburdened. And as much as I love being in the modern world, I mean, who would have thought 20 years ago that we could be talking across an ocean, continent to continent, by sitting in front of something called a laptop? We didn't even have those 20 years ago. So it's amazing. I love it. But it also means that we have, more toxins in our environment. Here in the U.S., the U.S. Patent Office has patent applications for many tens of thousands of new chemicals every year.
Wow.
Chemicals that never existed on planet Earth before. And, so do we do long-term testing to see the long-term effects on humans? No, we don't really do that. We're looking for, does it do, something that we want? And we might notice over time that there's some side effect that we can't tolerate. But so looking for those little things that tell you that your take-out-the-trash system, your liver, your colon, et cetera, are overtaxed is a really important thing. Here's what's happening in the brain. You want to know what's happening in the brain?
Yes, I want to know.
So when we talk about dementia, and dementia is that umbrella term for changes in the brain that mean that it's harder to remember, harder to focus, harder to think clearly, etc. And those changes, so what are those changes in the brain? That's a nice expression for your brain cells are dying pretty quickly. So you've got about 86 billion brain cells in that lovely brain bucket of yours, and those brain cells have a very long lifespan. And they get replenished very slowly. There's a little place kind of in the center bottom part of the brain called the hippocampus that is the incubator for new brain cells. In fact, they're regenerated so slowly that for a long time, our scientists thought that you had the brain cells that you have, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's just so slow, it took them a long time to find it. So you've got this regeneration. So what your brain naturally does is to learn things like the conversation we're having now. I'm learning things from you. You're learning things from me. And all those neurons in your brain are continually reconfiguring to hold that information, right? And to make more and more sense of it over time. And then you've got, a few brain cells, about 700 a day, being added to your brain. So that's the upward trend and the normal trend throughout your life for how your brain stays healthy and vital. Mm-hmm. The other part is something is causing, in the case of dementia, something is causing that cell death to accelerate, right? And as it accelerates, you don't want this problem with cell death in the brain to overtake the positive, upward trend of reconfiguring and adding new brain cells. Mm-hmm. So you want this one to really take off. However, the thing that will cause that problem so that your brain cells are dying more and more quickly over time is a weakness in the blood-brain barrier. It's a permeable thing, your blood-brain barrier. You want those nutrients to get out and nourish your brain cells, right?
Yeah.
And when that blood-brain barrier is too permeable, then larger proteins can get out, and they act like wrecking balls in your brain. And they will damage your brain cells. My euphemism for this is it blows them up. Over time, it really does. And that, when unchecked, that cycle begins to accelerate. And it's not in play for a day or a week or anything. It's been in play in your brain for 20 to 30, sometimes even 50 years before you start noticing those symptoms of not being able to remember whole conversations, not being able to think and be sharp like you always were, figure things out, get things done. Normal day-to-day things being like weirdly hard. Weird.
It's while you're speaking, I have my father in the foreground where this something similar is starting. And when you look backward, it becomes very logic to remember, there these things occurred. Yeah. And because also like he's not remembering suddenly certain moments and where he doesn't know where he is, and you said that's one of the things you can then recognize if you know how long are you lost in an area before you remember your way home. Yeah. Right. Or if you're wobbly. And there was also you said something like I remember that people are bent forward a little bit like a knife. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are two ways. One's because you're dense, we're very scared, we pull together. Yeah. But then also that's the same way. When also we're scared, we do the same thing. We don't breathe in everything to express it out or to feed even our brain cells. And as we do that already as children. It starts as children or later when we may be young women, where we close off. And in the way we close off intake of oxygen, you said it's a beautiful skin, right?
Right.
That's our skin is our antenna, even the hairs on our skin. That's how we get information from the universe. Also, that's how we breathe. You say so beautifully, it's our trash thing. So the more, again, we open up and expand, we are able to support these growth and slowing down, so we don't have the other part, so we don't have all these explosions in our head. The explosions should be here, right? When the energies come together and we decide what to do with them, and then it poof, and we're full of energy, of positive and exciting, vibrant energy to go out into the world. That's where we want explosions, and we don't want the explosions in the brain.
No,
like that.
In there. So it turns out that there are things that we do energetically that we want to do that really keep us in that wonderful zone, and things that we put in our bodies, on our bodies, and keep around our bodies that overload those, take out the trash systems. And the most common things that we do are food, because we put a lot of food in our bodies, particularly here in the U.S.
Everywhere now, more.
Yes. Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a first world kind of problem, that. But so the first thing that I do when I'm teaching people how to look for those things that are triggering their body to attack their own tissue is that we're going to look at the foods that they eat, and we're going to make a first pass at the 7 foods that are the most common inflammatories. Now, inflammatories will be a low-level problem that we can excuse away. Like I have allergies. I mean, I get allergy symptoms from time to time. I used to have them like 6 months out of the year, right? Yeah. It was a long allergy cycle. I was always battling those symptoms, and and from a conventional medicine perspective, I could get medicines that would treat the symptoms, but it didn't treat the underlying cause. And so when I started on this to recover my memory, well, guess what? The allergy stuff went away too.
Wow.
Double bonus.
Many things start transforming, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we see how the complexity of everything is together. I think by systemizing, we take away the complexity, the multitude of facets. And I think that's where we're moving as a world now, a society, back into living all our facets and seeing and experiencing our complexity. And while we do that, we can learn and understand, we understand better how everything has then its complexity. And
it's true. And this change for me had some complexity, and one of the things that I did was find a way to make it simple so busy people can do it. Mm-hmm. Because it's things that you've probably heard before. I mean, we hear it at a high level to eat right. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And, to exercise. Well, what exercise is really helpful for the brain, if those are the symptoms that you're having. Those kinds of high-level eat right and exercise admonishments that, at least here in the U.S., our doctors give us without any attention to the detail. And here, the detail matters. And so when people want to work with me, they want to find out what it is that works for them and what doesn't. So for me, the things that I've taken out of my diet, because when I take them out, I know what to look for those little kind of like tickle at the back of the throat, or a thickening in the mucus, or a little rash that may pop up here or there. If you had a rash on your skin, you would notice it right away, right?
Yeah.
And it would be red or whatever color it is. It might itch or burn or something that way. When you have that same kind of problem, a rash, so to speak, in your head, for example, at that blood-brain barrier, you will never feel it, because this, 0, is the number of pain receptors you have in your brain. Exactly 0. So you can't feel it. This is why brain surgeons, although they'll use an anesthetic to get through the cranium and into the brain, once they're in the brain, there are no anesthetics required.
Wow. I didn't know that. Fascinating.
It really is. And so we want to make sure to take out those things that trigger that cell death in the brain. And we're not measuring that. I'm a scientist, so I like to measure things as directly as possible. We can't measure that directly, but we can see it indirectly. And in 3 months' time, I was so much better. People were they were like, "Oh, Dorothy's back," and it's that's a pretty normal time frame for seeing results when you stick with it really tightly.
Yeah, and I want to let the audience know I went through something similar, inspired by this doctor. I think I got his book. He started eating also different. But then I went, and again, it was such a led thing. I was a woman I looked for, because I always had this, my posture, I said, that's not normal. I have to, anyway, I have an awkward posture because I have cerebral palsy, which is as exactly brain function. So the brain is something that has always fascinated me. How does it work? I think there was an NPR show about the brain when I was a student. I already listened to it many years back. And then slowly to really learn what makes my body weak and what doesn't make, or even intensified, which makes it too strong. And I couldn't be on any diet, because the one thing many people say bad, I had no reaction to, and some others, and I slowly learned how to let them go, and I could see the increase in energy and less sleep, or in my work as a healer. So for me as a healer, exactly what you're speaking about, it's not even just dementia, but how can I optimize my work as a physical channel? So my body really changes And I remember at the radio show at the beginning, I started that, and I had a big audience, I don't know, 100,000. And then there, afterwards, I was so overexcited. My body was overworking. I couldn't go to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning because it was 10 o'clock in the evening down here. And I noticed then, looking back, as I did the transition with food or other transitions, but then suddenly I just go to the phone, and at the end, after the hour, I can hang up and go back to sleep. So that means this energy that flows through me, or also holding the space for others, this vastness showed me, oh my God, look how more efficient the body has become. That's okay, maybe it's practice, but at the end there's still all this energy in these different wavelengths, these different beings going through it within an hour. And so I know it works, and that's what I want to let everyone know. Or it's the same thing when for my body, when I'm really fit, and mostly it's not the fitness I have to get through exercise, because I went through that, as I said at the beginning. At the end, Dorothy, it is really what I eat or drink that keeps me more upright. For me, it is then really more upright. I have a different gait. I'm more open. So just to let, it's not just dementia. So what you're speaking about is really bringing us ease, all of us, in many different situations in our life that can improve us. Because it doesn't drain us. It doesn't drain us. There's not this that behind it. It gives it this feeling.
Yeah, that kind of open feeling.
Yeah.
And when things are not going well in your body, there is that tendency to kind of curl in and hunker in. It's a very protected kind of position that way, almost a fetal kind of position. Yeah. So that's natural. That's some looking back at my recovery. That was from late 2013 into 2014 and beyond. I still do my practices every day. I did them right before we hopped on Skype here, because I want to make sure that the damage that I got in my brain is up over here. And so the symptoms that I had going on for 15 years were on the left side of my body. And they were things like... in my early 40s, this left shoulder would just pull in. It was always uncomfortable. I was always, trying to fiddle with it, move it in a way that would feel more comfortable. And people would say, Dorothy, something going on there? Do your clothes not fit right? They had all kinds of ideas about what it might be that was causing that discomfort. When I got this brain thing worked out, and was well, and when I keep my practices every day, I'll do them again about 3 more times today. I eat, what supports my health. If you eat things that don't support your health, do not consider those things food. Consider them a danger. And so, and a little bit of danger is okay, but probably not too much. But anyway, that completely went away.
Wow.
So this shoulder is almost, very close to being as happy as this one has always been. So it's not 100%, but it's better than 95%. I'm calling that a win.
Yeah, and I think it's not the shoulder that only that, maybe that's a big thing you saw, but I bet your skin. Now I have to go back to your face, because your face is so expressed. It's so smooth. You look young, much younger than you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and that's what you're bringing too. So it is really, you as a being are inspiring others to look and see, oh, what can I improve, right? Because your words, they won't be listened to, but because it's so beaming out of you, everyone is going to listen to you.
But you bring up such a good point. The thing that I got to regain, and that when I work with people, that they want to be confident in themselves again. Yeah. They want to be confident their future is the future that they've always looked forward to. they want to be confident, that they can feel good and remember well, recognize their family members, and not, blow through the wealth that they've saved, but while being really grumpy to the people in their lives. Nobody wants that. So it's, and back to your point about those symptoms in that shoulder, it's that conversation between the brain and the body that starts to go sideways, so to speak, first. Those are very subtle things. There were other things that went on for me that are now completely gone. So this eye, and again, my damage was over here, so it was this eye. When I was tired, it would, you know how we'll stare off to the middle distance when we're tired? Yeah. And this eye would kind of dither, so that my vision in this eye looked kind of swimmy, so to speak. And uvula, that hanging down thing at the back of your throat?
Yes.
Well, they're supposed to hang straight down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you...
How weird is that?
That is weird. But if you speak about it, and you said about food, I can't eat wheat so well. I do eat it, because especially in German, but if I can avoid it, I try to avoid it. And it's this that really gets larger, and I feel it inflamed. So it is a very sensible tool for us. And then speak about speaking, for me, singing out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those kinds of little ways that tell us that this food isn't nourishing me; it's ditching my health.
Yeah.
And we can excuse those things away, but here in Texas we have this whole kind of in the U.S. we have this gun culture that is a little over the top, so to speak. Now, my dad was a military man. I grew up, he taught us how to shoot, and his first 3 rules of deadly weapons are safety, safety, and safety. So we're really careful about those things in my family, but not everybody is. And so we have this expression here for, in Texas we pack. That typically means weapons. I pack salad. Anytime I'm going out for the day, there's an opportunity that I'm going to show up someplace where there's not going to be anything that's really good for me to eat. Mm-hmm. And so the things that I can eat, I make sure and have as plan B. And that way, I'm always ready. Yeah. I can live with confidence through the day and just be the best version of myself and not suffer those irritating things that I know are triggering my body to attack my own tissues. I don't want that.
Because while you're speaking, I'm thinking this is really interesting, because the more we fine-tune feeling ourselves, so in a way that we're letting go of numbing ourselves down. So if and with the time you get a finer feeling. I sometimes say, your hand where it draws you to a body knows what foods to eat in the moment. Sometimes we need certain foods to remember because of a trauma. We eat maybe old things we shouldn't, but it brings something up. But most of the time, we take the right things that are needed. And it is really always a little bit here and there, and the animals do it well. If you see a cat, I have cats, you just walked in. If they go outside, they go and nibble somewhere. Why? Because right away they know what minerals and what they need. And I think the food, once you've learned to feel better, as you let one, start slowly with one after the other. That was my experience. So also I could find substitutes, right? So it's a little practice and becomes a habit. But in the bigger picture, it fine-tunes so we can become more intuitive, that we feel difference, we feel even more the presence, as you said at the beginning, the someone who is in the room that we are supposed to speak with. So if we're not fine-tuned, which leads us then into our business or as a friendship or relationship, right? So we can fine-tune so many other things. and we become more and more aware, and then with our awareness we understand again what the difference is, and we can feel the spiritual body in a way,
Yes.
within ourselves.
Uh-huh.
I think that is the most beautiful present I've done, is this fine feeling on acting when the body tells me something. So yeah, and anyway, I'm a channel of the body, and I
Yes.
even, now I have hairs that want to be channeled by from people. It's really funny because people are not listening. They don't feel their body, Dorothy. They don't feel the body, and it hurts me sometimes. And I said, the only thing is I can inspire and be, and so people can say, oh, I want what you have, and then we can tell our story, right? So I hope many who are going to listen see this. It's not just for them, it's for so much more in our life, to bring in this vibrancy again, and to become more attuned to when something doesn't function correctly.
Right.
That we notice it earlier, right? So people don't have to go through what you've been going through. So what is really your, would you say, a tip to the audience?
So I so resonate with what you just said, because there was a time when I hardly felt my body at all. I was shut down so much. Sometimes it would feel like my arms were numb from the tips of my fingers to my elbows. I could hardly feel them at all.
Yeah.
And that was a very difficult passage in life. And getting to the other side where I can feel and extend is so wonderful. But to your question about a tip, the place where we start every time. Oh, I see your kitty.
This is Judy, my little star girl.
Yes, that is a beautiful kitty.
Thank you. She comes in the room when they're really high vibrating people on the phone.
So here's the tip. From my science background, I'm always walking people through the system very step by step, so that we can test things in a way that is simple and see what shows up for them as foods that are safe and foods that don't serve them. So there are 7 foods that we look for and specifically take out for a while to see which of those are triggering their body. So those are glutens, dairy, corn, peanuts, eggs, sugars, and soy. Those 7 are things that we look at because they're such common inflammatories. And if you're eating just a little bit of those things, probably it's not a big deal unless you're pretty sensitive. But at least here in the U.S., eating a little bit of something is not what we have done for a long time. We're still, struggling with numbing ourselves by eating too much. So digging our graves with a spoon, so to speak.
Wow. Yeah, so that time is over, because I think more and more people are saying, I don't want to live this way anymore. Not feeling is painful. That what I've experienced, right? For me too, there was also a moment I said, no, this doesn't work. I did already other things, but I wanted to get it even finer and finer. That's my quest always. And that was really at the end the answer, and it is still the answer. But to optimize in a very tender, soft, gentle way our energy and our bodies. That is the way to go. That we don't anything where there's too much strength doesn't function. I tell people sometimes about an experience where it's ease, where we can think a little different of moving. When we were speaking about nature, when you connect to nature, nature can draw you. It pulls you along, so suddenly you can move faster. We don't need to use all of our energy. Yeah? And then even when we eat, what energy does this plant give us? What information does it give us?
Yes, energy is information.
Yes. Yeah. So even looking at food in a different way, or the outdoors. And it's easier with less energy to move forward when we need a lot of energy. In a way, I invite everyone to experience being blown by the wind infinitively, being blown forward. So just it's an ease. We're going in a flow forward anyway, and not to resist, and just move gently with it.
Yes, and we probably have all had that feeling in the physical world, but to feel that way in life, that you are that you've set an intention and that you're taking your steps forward, and you can, in integrity, feel that moving forward in a way that's just fully aligned with your purpose for being here on the planet and the gift that you can be to other people.
Yeah, this is beautiful, and this is it's a beautiful spot. And I thought I didn't even sing this whole conversation; it was not needed. But I would love to sing at this moment to bring what we've spoken about, this inspiration of becoming more aware and observing with what we exchange energy.
Oh,
yeah,
please.
If it's people or food, and to just move us forward, all of us who are listening. Yeah, no, la, 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 yeah, yeah, hello, yeah, no, yeah, la, 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 wa, la, 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 wa, la, la, nye, lo, nya, wa, nya, na, la, lo, ya, lo.
That's beautiful. So calming. So
Thank
what
you.
a wonderful gift.
Thank you very much. Yes. And you also bringing this inspiration to others and speaking your truth and bringing it out. And it isn't, I bet it's not very easy, but once people feel what you're about, they want to feel more of you. Right? And so you really, I sense it's just a start for you. You're going to influence many people. So I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to be observing what you're going to bring, and I hope many others. And I'm going to write how people can connect to you. And also, I want at this moment to let everyone know that we're going to come together once more, Dorothy and I, on a live interactive show in a few weeks or a month or so, where you can come and ask questions, and you can come to a hot seat, and you can hear what Dorothy brings, and you can bring to her, and it can be also conversation. Whatever is brought to the moment, and I think that will be a lot of fun. And as you saw at the beginning, Dorothy and I are about living our joy and experience joy in our body, lightly, with no energy. Yeah. So Dorothy, thank you very much for coming. And I want to ask you, what, like a last words or anything, or so whatever comes to you want to bring to the audience?
I think that the message that I feel moving through me for your audience is to pay attention, to breathe deeply, to take time to be alone body, mind, and spirit, so that you can bit by bit increase the confidence and love and acceptance that you have for yourself and for other people. That makes life so much more generous, fun, and expansive. And it helps us step out of old patterns of lack or unhealth or judgment. And stepping into love and abundance is always just the easiest way to expand joy. It does take courage. Don't do it.
But that's the fun part.
Yes.
And you meet fascinating people this way.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful beauty, living beauty, yeah, and seeing the beauty, experience beauty all around you. It does take courage.
Yes.
And to live yours.
Oh, and yours too, and it's everywhere when we have eyes to see it. And that's something that we can help ourselves do more and more. So do it.
Wonderful. So everyone, thank you for watching or listening, and I hope to see you on the Q&A show. And Dorothy, again, thank you for joining the Sacred Expressing show, and looking forward to seeing and hearing more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My honor to be here. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.